Hi, my name is Zach Engel. I'm the executive chef and owner of Grape restaurant in the Lincoln Park neighborhood in Chicago. Grape serves sort of my take on Middle Eastern cuisine. For the last 10 years, I've been cooking in some of the top Middle Eastern restaurants in the country and in Israel. And one of my favorite things to make, whether it's in the restaurant or at home, is stuffed grape leaves, which are usually served with rice and some sort of spiced ground meat. What we're going to be doing today that I think is really cool is we're using walnuts as a substitute for that ground meat. It's truly delicious. We get to use a lot of different spices to sort of bring out a lot of the nutty flavors of Middle Eastern cuisine that I really love. A lot of brightness and herbs, which is really cool. And walnuts are a really interesting ingredient. We use them throughout the restaurant in a lot of different dishes, but they're actually were originally found and used in ancient Persia. So they really tie back to the cuisine that we cook here at Grape restaurant. So first we're going to start with making our rice. We've got a saute pan. We're going to add a little bit of canola oil to it. And then we're going to throw in our small diced yellow onions. Hear those sizzle. Some minced garlic. And about a half teaspoon of salt. And what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to get them to be opaque and cooked all the way through. We don't really want a lot of color on them, but if you do get some, totally okay. So I've got our onions. They're nice and opaque, starting to get a little bit of that golden color. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add our spices, which are going to be the seasoning of the rice. We've got some ground ginger, Aleppo chili flakes. These are really beautiful. They're from the Middle East. They're a dried chili pepper, adding a little heat. And then last but certainly not least is our baharat spice. It's like a Lebanese Turkish pumpkin pie spice. And for me, what I always like to do is I like to toast the spices onto the onions because it's pulling out aroma, which is in turn going to be really what makes up the flavor that we're trying to get here. It's coaxing out all of the aroma and flavor out of those spices and then mixing them around on the rice. And then I've got a mixing bowl, some converted long grain rice, and I'm going to dump those onions right on top with about a half cup of lemon juice. And we took one bunch of parsley, we divided it in half, and then I chopped up one half of it, and I saved the stems because we're going to use those later for our grape leaves. Now we're mixing the rice, the lemon juice, the parsley, and we're going to set this aside and let it kind of cool down a little bit, and then we're going to start working on our plant-based walnut and shiitake mushroom sausage. The first step to starting our shiitake and walnut filling is we're going to take some rolled oats, 1 cup, and we're going to grind them in our Roboku, our food processor, until they get to be like a fine powder. That's going to help to bind everything together along with the eggs. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump this right into the bowl. Next, we're going to put our walnuts, our mint, and our parsley, and a little bit more minced garlic in this Roboku. I'm going to pulse it so that it doesn't turn into a thick paste because I still want some texture from those walnuts. Next step, we're going to grind up our mushrooms so that we can cook them. And I'm going to take the stems off the shiitakes, and I want to save those stems for later as well. So our filling's been cooled down in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes, and I've got this bowl of water here. I'm going to kind of wet my hands and shape some patties. The versatility of these walnuts is incredible. We've made this like almost like a sausage, which is cool, and I'm going to cook them and sear them off to get some caramelization. So they really resemble like ground meat in a lot of ways. Walnuts are also the oldest tree food known to man, dating back to 7000 BC. And so you can imagine the countless number of recipes and techniques that people have been using walnuts for millennia. So our shiitake mushroom and California walnut sausages are cooked, they're cooled down, and then I'm just gonna take them and crumble them up right into our rice mixture. And it's really is just gonna have the exact same texture as a cooked ground beef that you'd use in your filling for a traditional grape leaf recipe. Walnuts are so versatile, and what's really cool, I like to experiment with them a lot here at Galit because they're such a prevalent ingredient in the cuisines of the Middle East and North Africa and the Balkans, in lots of things like sauces and rice pilafs and in dips. We like to add them into things just to add a little bit of texture sometimes, or just to bring out some of the nuttiness, the earthy flavors of some of our spices that we're using here. Really incredible stuff. And they're so healthy. They're just like packed full of nutrients. So it's just a little mixture right here, and we're just gonna try and get everything nice and evenly so that we spoon it into our grape leaves. We're getting a little bit of rice and a little bit of our California walnut sausage right in there as well. I got my grape leaf down with the stem side up, cut the stem off. I've got the top of the grape leaf pointing away from me. 1 tablespoon of the filling is down kind of towards where the stem is. I tuck the bottom over, and then I do on each side about a 45-degree fold, and then a little bit of a roll, and then another 45-degree fold, but go a little bit farther so that it kind of points into the middle like a triangle. And then I keep rolling kind of tight, but not too tight, because the rice is going to expand and we don't want it to explode in the grape leaf. Pack them nice and tightly in a small baking dish, fill it halfway up with water, and then we're going to cover it with some lemons and our parsley and mint and shiitake stems, and everything's going to steam 30 minutes in a 350-degree oven wrapped in foil. It's all going to steam and perfume, and we're going to get all the spices and the herbs and the California walnuts and the mushrooms and all the onions and everything together, and it's going to be super awesome. So while our grape leaves are cooking in the oven, we'll be making our pomegranate and Baharat walnut cream. These walnuts, just goodness in a nutshell. We're going to put those in the blender, 2 cups of California walnuts and 1 cup of water, some salt, Baharat, that pumpkin pie spice, and about 3 tablespoons of pomegranate molasses, which is really going to add a lot of acidity and fruity flavor. When I serve grape leaves, I usually like to serve them with a yogurt sauce, but walnuts, with all their really healthy fats, are really, really versatile as an ingredient to make things like a walnut cream sauce that you can replace with something that's more yogurt or dairy-centric. And I really love to do stuff like that on the menu here at Galit. First, we're going to start and run it on a low speed and then turn it up really high gradually. So our pomegranate walnut cream, super light and fluffy, beautiful golden color, and I'm going to refrigerate this until I'm ready to serve those grape leaves. So after the oven, come out, let them rest for about 15 minutes at room temperature, and then perfectly cooked grape leaves.